The harvest brings healing and creativity. We've got the Well of Slanya and Goibenu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Goibenu? Um, but happy Lughnasadh for anybody who's celebrating this weekend, the Harvest Festival. The first of three this turn of the wheel. But I wanted to look into the harvest a little bit more, and the harvest being what comes after that alchemy and individuation process and getting in touch with the authentic self, because there's been that like stifling energy that's really determined on, seems like, suppressing either the Aquarian, whoever that represents, the Aquarian expression of yourself, that individual expression, whatever the case may be. But I'm tired of focusing on them. I'm sick of that vibe, and just from what I'm getting, they're not going to get their way. It's, I mean, trying to keep Aquarian energy down, especially right now with the celestial weather. I just don't see that happening. And these are very promising cards for the harvest. I mean, the Well of Slanya, that was eventually blocked off by cairn, rocks and such, so that it wasn't usable. But there's still a view into it, so it's not completely blocked off. It's a difficult road to healing, which they do tend to be. But then we have the one of the three gods of crafting. So creating something in the wake of all that strife and then the subsequent healing. And I think it has something to do with the expression of self, because I got Leo, 8th house, and Uranus on the dice roll. So even more of that Aquarian emphasis. So maybe you are trying to go your own way, do something like this, like a YouTube channel, Etsy store, or something like that. But let's see, what's this harvest about? Some sort of artistic endeavor? Because, let me see if I can pronounce this. Goibnu? Goibnu. Maybe. But they are forging weapons. So, some type of crafting. Something you're making. Wind. Flight. Movement of thought. Something to do with speech. So again, something like this, maybe a YouTube channel, maybe you're writing a book, podcast. But that is a craft, like wordsmithing. So what about this movement of thought? Because when you go through that process of reconnecting with self, you might be reconnecting with your values. Speaking up more about what you truly believe versus what you were taught to believe. So what about, here we go, seeing the bigger picture? Okay, maybe taking an interest in the larger world around you. And familiar, deep bonds. This reminds me of a video game I played a while ago. Spirit of the North, I think it was called. You played as like a fox spirit. It was a good game. It was really pretty. Something about nature. Maybe you're getting involved in some sort of environmental something or other, which definitely need more people involved in that right now. Everything is on fire, and the data center is eating up all the water, it's like, has nobody seen the 80s, like, sci-fi dystopian anything? Did any of those movies have water besides Waterworld? So taking a greater interest in the larger community around you. What else about that? Maybe that's one of those things that, like an altruistic pursuit that people have been critical of. Like, why are you getting so wound up about the environment and things like that? Like, why am I getting wound up about where I live? Is that upheaval? So maybe it is more of the involvement in the world around you, because there's a big flock back there, flock of crows. Tension, conflict. There's lots of nests and such. It's kind of like, you know, if we don't take care of what's around us, where are we going to live? The whole terraforming idea, that's just an idea. That's not viable at the moment. And I mean, if we didn't take care of here, what's the chances that we're going to take care of there? So the forests, familiar, and upheaval. It's also kind of giving me nature fighting back. So you see that in a lot of like apocalyptic storylines and such, when Mother Nature finally fights back of, it's just the scales are too far out of balance. Man's hubris is leading us down a path of destruction, and a lot of that is people not recognizing that the earth doesn't need us and we need the earth. It's not the earth will go on without us. So what about this upheaval? Three of Pentacles, but it was in reverse. Going your own way? Maybe you need to listen to some Fleetwood Mac. Never a bad idea. Because usually this is a teamwork card, and this is a vision. It kind of seems like, because it's Stonehenge up there in the clouds, and then there's that glowing circle on the ground. Oh, like a spark of creativity, like an epiphany of sorts, I guess. The random urge to do something, but a solo pursuit. And it doesn't necessarily need to make sense to anyone else. Like before this reading, I got a random urge to write down the planet meanings in my key, in my little notebook. Just kind of a random... Like, it didn't need to be done. It wasn't like there was a deadline to do that or anything. It was just oh, this might be helpful to me, and I don't have anywhere to be. May as well. So maybe it's something like that. Get a random spark of inspiration. Up flight, movement of thought. But maybe there's some sort of conflict around it. Said that weird. Conflict? Sounded weird. What about this spark of inspiration, this individual pursuit? Just taking the bottom one. King of Cups, a mastery of emotions, some sort of emotional work. And it fell in the drips from my iced coffee. So something very emotional. Cups, water. And that can be a journey that doesn't make sense from the outside looking in. Can have a lot to do with nature. You spend a lot of time in nature while alchemizing, processing emotions. And other people don't have to get it. It's for your healing, for your... Maybe you need to go out into nature to ponder for some creative ideas. So what about the King of Cups? Four of Pentacles in reverse. Interesting that he's blindfolded. Because in reverse it is letting go of control. But even upright, this card, the way it's drawn, it's very much like that. It's like surrender. But it's almost like this thread is like pulling forward. Like someone or someones don't want you to surrender to your authentic self. Whatever that path looks like for you. Are they just judgy? You're just weird? Don't know how to mind their own business? Because if you're going through something like trauma recovery, that's very complicated and in-depth, and things that you may have never talked to another person about before, ever, it could very well be confusing from the outside looking in. But that's okay. It's your journey. You share what you want to share about it, and you don't share what you don't want to share about it. Nobody's entitled to the details of what you're processing. There's some sort of upheaval about that. That's what I want to know more about. What? Because it feels like this upheaval, there's something in the way of progress. So what's this upheaval about? Is that like finally moving the obstacle out of the way? So what's this upheaval about? Invocations? The power of words. I recognize the power of my words and use them for the good of all. But it was in reverse. What a nice looking card. Flowers, a warm color scheme, very romantic. It's like somebody doesn't want you speaking, doesn't want you telling your story. Was it Miley Cyrus? Said something about, all I'm doing is telling my story about what happened to me. If it made you look bad, then, well, like, what are you expecting somebody else to do about that? People have a right to talk about what they've been through, because it's not only therapeutic to get it out, it's re-traumatizing to have to hold it in. That'd be an interesting like legal argument. So what's coming to mind? So I think some of the legal terms are like libel. Because there's different terms for if someone's not telling the truth and if they are, and how that impacts the other person. But what about the impacts of the person who has to withhold what they've been through, like traumatic experiences? That's more trauma for them. Why should they have to go through more trauma to protect the reputation of an abuser? That's not justice. That's not balance. The abuser absolutely does not outweigh what the victim's been put through. It's kind of like, you should have thought about that before you went around abusing people. But the system is not designed for the victim. It's designed to protect the power. So what about this invocations? But maybe you're doing something like I'm doing, just being critical of bad systems, of systems that have negative impacts on people who have already been through too much. And it's exactly what the First Amendment is for, to be critical of the government. And I just don't understand the present climate. Just the attack on free speech. It's very distressing. But we've got battle in reverse. So they don't want to fight. This is reminding me of the last reading. It's like when somebody knows that you're winning the argument, it's just like, oh, well, I don't want to fight anymore. So are you conceding, or like, what are we doing here? And then invocations, that card is 31, so 4, and then battle is 5, so a progression. But both cards are in reverse. So it's like a tug of war. Like there's no actual progress being made. What is this tug of war about? It's like two equal forces on either side. The eye of providence, the all-seeing eye. Something needs to be seen that isn't seen right now. Like the tiebreaker. What needs to be seen? Is this like, how many is that? 3? Someone wanting to like wave the white flag, surrender, to get you to stop talking about something. That doesn't erase the past. It's not just going away. And these all fell face down. So Judgment in reverse, 7 of Wands in reverse, and 8 of Pentacles. Something hidden about these. These are what need to be seen. Somebody's poor judgment needs to be seen. And 7 of Wands. In the upright, that can be like trying to get somebody to relinquish their position. Because the 6 of Wands, that's the victor. They're on the horse with the staff and the wreath, riding through town. And then, inevitably, you'll have challengers for the victor. So they're having to defend their position. And then the 8 of Pentacles, that's the artisan, the master. And this one's very relaxed. Resting under the tree. There's another fox. This is almost giving me like underhanded competition. Because Judgment in reverse. This is like wanting to go back on your actions. Maybe they don't want it seen that they or this group of people, whomever's involved in this, trying to suppress your voice, trying to suppress your individual expression, maybe in an underhanded way. Because she looks like she's in a lot of pain. Being attacked by goblins. Well, they look like goblins. Yeah, she doesn't look like she's having a good time. They're pulling her hair. Could even be bullying. And like really childish bullying too. That's what like the pulling the hair gives me. But then the facade, because this is the only upright card in this position, is this Eight of Pentacles. Is that like, oh no, everything's fine. There's no fight here, nothing to see here. We're not tormenting this person. We're not trying to suppress their individual expression. And whatever that is, whether it's speech, so that's whatever I was talking about earlier, is free speech. Do they just not like you? Something about you specifically? It is kind of giving me misogyny. This, I don't know, determined nature or pattern of behavior when women try to break free, try to go their own way. It's like, how dare you? How dare you express your agency, your will? I mean, how many times have we seen that through witch trials? And it's still happening today. I just don't know what the gripe is with trying to keep women down. And there's so many different ways that enable that to occur that we know it's happening, and I don't see changes happening. So what's going to come to the surface? Because this is obstructive to the harvest. Because, I mean, if somebody's dealing with bullying, trying to be suppressed in some way, it's going to be pretty hard to be creative, to craft. Yeah, just all sorts of unnecessary and avoidable burdens on this person. So how will this be seen? How will this come to the surface? Underhanded competition, bullying, dance, freedom. They don't want somebody to have their freedom. But we know that. Is that known? And just nobody's doing anything? Well, they're the problem too. The enablers, the flying monkeys. It'd be like a legal case where it's like, how many appeals can this person do before we acknowledge that they're holding their victim captive by abusing the legal process? And how much help did they get from the system itself? Because they wouldn't be able to do that without a system to enable it to occur in the first place. So what about dance and freedom? Anomaly. This is my Neo card. The one. You're different. And for some reason, again, which I cannot discern, when somebody's different, people will go after them. Rather than just, like, live and let live. It'll be bullying. It'll be rules for thee, not for me, sort of stuff. But the Neo card, there's something about your craft, whatever it is you're doing. Maybe it's something with your voice, you're saying something, speaking something, that causes an upheaval. Maybe when all this terrible behavior gets seen, people come to their senses. Some, maybe. Because there's still some decent people that would be outraged by treatment like this. Moon. Secrets? Hidden? Trying to hide you? Again, is it because of something you're saying? Because Uranus, back to that dice roll, that's rebellion, reformation, revolutionary. I can actually see the moon side from where it's sitting. So wanting to hide, like, revolutionary thought? I mean, anything to maintain power. Like, who cares if people are being hurt, right? Some people do care. That's where those revolutions come from. The Empress in reverse. So what I'm getting from this, and she is covered, this is, it could be that group, like the system, participating in keeping the anomaly down. But it's giving me like false spiritualist, like a charlatan, because this is very nature, kind of hippy dippy. She's got the headband, you know, very 70s look, with the big skirt and everything. This is like a false empress. Somebody who takes pictures of them doing, I don't know, like a litter cleanup or something, but all they did was like pick up a trash bag that was sitting next to the trash anyway, and then got their social media clout and was off. Something like virtue signaling. So they're virtue signaling, and they want to suppress maybe the person who has earnest virtues, that actually does believe in these things, because it challenges their position of power, because then they'll be seen for the farce that they are. So what about this Empress? Not only the farce that they are, but the lengths to which they went to keep somebody down. King of Wands in reverse, and then the Sun in reverse. And King of Wands, that's a fiery energy. Very passionate. creative. There's a dragon behind the tree there. So it's like acting from shadow to try and keep something from being illuminated. I wonder if there's something tangential here. Because it's one thing to have, you know, an outspoken person and maybe they're misogynistic and they have their gripes with that individual person, but maybe there's a deeper issue going on that if what somebody is speaking up about gets looked into, there's something else that will be revealed. The all-seeing eye. And I think that came up in another reading recently. It's like a layered deal. And, I mean, if they're gathering a campaign of bullies, that can become a pretty big deal pretty quickly. So what don't they want illuminated? I want to know. Or are they trying to keep it secret? That is many. But maybe it's pertinent to what's going on. So we've got Witch's Brew, Seek Alternative Solutions, that's in reverse, Witch of the Woods, Retreat, and Midnight Moth, Distraction. So this is what they don't want revealed. So seek alternative solutions. Just doing the same thing over and over? Maybe. And I don't know if retreat means they're trying to back out of this strategy, like trying to cover their tracks. That could be the distraction. Let's see a little bit more. So what about this retreat and distraction? Is that like getting rid of evidence? Trying to? Retreat and distraction. Preparation, but in reverse. Oh, they don't want it seen that this was planned, that this was not impulsive. Again, that like group activity. Because maybe an argument or a defense will fall apart. Because it's not, what is it, a crime of passion if you've been conspiring behind somebody's back. And to suppress the anomaly. That would not be a spontaneous thing. Trying to reframe things so it looks like your suppression of your voice, however that is playing out, that looks spontaneous when it isn't. Like shadow banning. which I don't really know how that works. Shadow banning. Yeah, I don't know. But it'd be something like that. Like if they were using fake accounts to make bad reviews on your business or something. And wanting to eliminate any kind of digital trail that shows it was them and not just like organic traffic. So what about this distraction? Page of Wands in reverse. And he's got lightning coming out of his hands. But in reverse, it's like a magician seeing an illusion. I just noticed that Midnight Moth and Witch of the Woods, they're sequential, 38 and 39. And Preparation is 37. What's Witch's Brew? Nope, 26. That's not part of that sequence. Interesting. Maybe that's a distraction. Page of Wands. The student of ideas, inspiration, creativity. Oh, are they copying your work? Are they stealing something about your creative expression? They don't have ideas of their own. So they want to suppress your voice so they can use it to make, I don't know, their own content, make money, something like that. But if they suppress you completely and you get like fed up with doing things, who's their next supply going to be? And authenticity is pretty difficult to copy. If it's something you love to do, why not keep doing it? I think slow and steady wins a race, right? So suppressing you, but wanting your creativity. Page of Cups, another page. Emotions, emotionally immature. Yeah. And Queen of Pentacles, all in reverse. All court cards and all in reverse. So maybe this is the group, whomever's involved. Because 3 makes a group. Page of Wands, Page of Cups, Queen of Pentacles. Fire sign, water sign, and an earth sign. Maybe. It doesn't have to be. Could just be the nature of the way they're acting. Oh, and I don't think I got a rune for this one. Let's see. What about these court cards? This group. Rings. Alchemy. Like they're trying to steal your alchemy. Can't really do that. It's extremely subjective and individual. They don't know how, so they're just trying to piggyback off of yours, which that inauthenticity will show through on its own. And Page of Cups. Emotionally immature. And in this one, it looks like he's fishing by hand. But in reverse, I'm kind of getting the vibe of somebody that's very dependent on others. Like stealing their ideas, stealing their work rather than doing it themselves. And it's not like being inspired by somebody. It's Like taking their stories, taking their words, taking their ideas and thoughts. Like, what if you have a value system that this person doesn't share, but they want to emulate it in some way? Like, advocacy of some form could be like someone learning feminist speech from me, like that kind of jargon to get into women's spaces. Very sneaky, very not cool. And of course they wouldn't want that to be seen. But I'm drawn back to this battle in reverse. Because it's like a pre-existing conflict. Is this just like revenge? They're trying to get back at somebody for some kind of conflict? And how many people were around them that knew this conflict was going on and just enabled even more abuse to occur by not stepping in, by like, well, we have to go through the process, right, at clock chimes. You know, we have to let them appeal dozens of times to their heart's content, even though we know there's a backstory here. They're the problem too. But whatever it is, it's blocking someone's forward movement. That's the irritating part. They're holding somebody back. What, because they can't regulate their own emotions? Because they can't get over themselves? They can't accept their part in a conflict? And then if the people all around them, that whoever the anomaly is, they're supposed to be able to turn to, they can't because they're not doing anything, what are they supposed to do? I mean, one foot in front of the other. There's not... I don't really have a better answer than that. Because it just seems like, even though I'm trying to get away from this vibe, it's like a lasso. Maybe there's something upcoming in the celestial weather, or it's just a little too early in Saturn retrograde. Elegy? Architects? That's a good song. Process some anger out with that one, for sure. I'm trying to think of the lyrics. But it talks about questioning my integrity. But whoever he's talking about in that song, he's talking about an abusive person. So maybe there's something important in that song that will help process some of these emotions, move them through, make sense of things, because this would be a very difficult situation to be in, to be trying to make progress, and to have people just sitting by, watching this happen, watching somebody suffer and struggle. It's like, do you people have a heart? It's pretty questionable at this point. You know, how much can one person blatantly get away with stopping somebody else's progress when... What did they do? I can't discern. Did they speak up? Is this, again, related to speech? And this is just a punishment for daring to stand up for oneself? And maybe the elegy is a reference to it's just time to put this to a rest. And you can't force a timeline on that, but grounding and strategizing as to, okay, this is like a legal battle, something or other. What are the next steps? How do we look forward to some sort of resolution to move this tug of war along? So, overall, I hope this helps. Another that I hope it doesn't resonate, but if something rang true, I hope you found something helpful, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.